How's it going today, guys? On today's video, we're going to be kind of going into what it's like to daily ride an early 2000s sport bike. Specifically, I have a 2002 CBR 600 F4i. I daily ride this thing every single day, and every single day. I put damn near about 5,000 kilometers. I'll do the conversion on what that is. I put damn near 5,000 kilometers on this thing in the last month and a half. I absolutely love this thing. I have two of them. I have one that's going to be built as a stunt bike, and I have one that's a daily rider. I just, I love the sound of it. I love the way the bike feels. I love the way it looks. It's so, it's pretty timeless. It looks pretty sharp unless, you put it beside maybe a newer, really, really sharp bike, and then you're going to kind of start to see, the timeless details and stuff. But like, this was the prime era of Japanese engineering. Even the cars were crazy, but we'll go into that when we get into the videos. So let's get to it. So what's it like to daily ride an early 2000s sport bike? It's definitely a lot more of a raw experience than, a newer bike's gonna be. There's no traction control, there's no ABS, there's none of that. You give it too much throttle, the tire's gonna spin. You don't give it enough, the tire's not gonna spin. You slam the front brake, you're gonna probably go over the bars. Like it all comes down to common sense on these things. Obviously, to an extent, that's with every bike, but these ones a lot more. That has no riding aids in any way, shape, or form. Coming from a different bike, though, like I rode bikes for quite a few years, and it made a difference. If anyone's ever wondering if that makes a difference, like let's say you ride dirt bikes for 10 years before deciding you want to get a sport bike, and you're wondering if that does make a difference on riding skill, it 100% does. I rode dirt bikes for probably about 14 years, and I got myself a sport bike, and I was able to wheelie my sport bike the very first day I had it out. Now, if you have no bike skill and you're a beginner on a bike, and that skill doesn't transfer over, then I should not have been able to jump on that bike and wheelie it right off the bat. So don't let anyone tell you that skill won't transfer over. My biggest thing is you're taking away the clutch. Like you know how to run a clutch, you know how the throttle works, you know where the front brake is, where the rear brake is, you know roughly about that. Obviously the seating position and stuff like that's going to be a little bit different, but like generally the way the bike works is all going to be the same. The biggest thing for me was like signal lights and lights and stuff like that. I was not used to that. There is riding position, like stuff like that inside the lanes and stuff like that if you're trying to ride very legal. All that stuff I definitely did have to learn. I didn't know any of that stuff, but like the basics of riding the bike itself, it definitely went a long way. So I hope that helps if anyone's ever wondering. As far as comfortability goes, the bike is obviously not going to be as comfortable as like maybe let's say an early 2000 or sorry, I got talking about early 2000s bikes too much. As comfortable as a newer one. You're a little bit more of an aggressive seating style. You're humped over a little bit more. Your feet are a little bit higher. It's going to be a little bit more of aggressive seating style. I got adjustable rear sets, which makes you be able to put your feet down a little bit lower, which actually makes it significantly better. As a 6'1" dude, I'm able to sit to the very back where my butt's against, like where the passenger seat is. I'm able to sit all the way back there, straighten my arm, and just sit upright. Like I'm not even, my feet are pretty much at a 90. My legs are almost borderline at a 90, maybe not quite, but like compared to like some sport bikes, they can be pretty aggressive. So just definitely keep an eye on seating position for comfortability wise as well. As far as the engine goes, the engine itself, it's an inline 4 for this one. It produces 110 horsepower at 12,500 RPM. It sounds absolutely beautiful when you're wide open. It's got a 14,000 RPM red line, and it just sounds absolutely beautiful. We'll go out to the highway here and I'll let her buck for you guys, but these things are high screaming. They were race replica bikes. They were meant to sound really good. I have a Kaufman Shorty on this, and it sounds, oh my god, I absolutely love the way this bike sounds. You don't have a low grumble to it. It sounds high pitched, exactly what you picture a crotch rocket to sound like. So yeah, let's get out to the highway here. I might have to clip this out and chop it forward a little bit. Alrighty, we'll give her a little beans here for you guys. Hopefully that's not a cop up there, but as you guys can tell, that inline four just sounds absolutely beautiful when you get her going. As far as highway riding goes, as long as you're kind of, you know, pushing yourself away from the tank a little bit, keeping yourself in a good position, it's not too bad. My biggest complaint is the seat being a little bit hard and my butt cheeks going really numb after a while. Other than that, it's actually really not that bad. I'm gonna get a pair of underwear where you could put gel padding in the butt cheeks, and I'm gonna see if that helps. I'm also gonna get a seat. It's called the Luomoto. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but it has a horn at the front, which kind of keeps you away from sliding into the tank, because that is one of the worst things, is when you're, you know, riding for a while and you just keep sliding into the tank, because the way these seats are angled, they're kind of sloped forward, so you keep sliding into the tank non-stop. So it's just inevitable unless you're pinching constantly with your legs, which, I mean, not every rider is pinching constantly with their legs, right? You know, you're kind of free legging it a little bit and letting your arms do some of the work sometimes, but riding position goes a real long way on these things. The way you're sitting, you know, put your feet a little bit, like if this is your foot peg, put your feet a little farther up to the front of your foot on the foot peg, and that'll kind of go a long ways. You know, I have to stretch my feet out sometimes, but if, you know, you're pinching with your legs and kind of sitting your feet like that a little bit, and it kind of helps a bit, keeps you pinching with your knees and keeping the weight off your arms a little bit. I like riding one-handed. I kind of like leaning down and going like this. Unless you're a comfortable rider, I don't obviously recommend this, but this can be pretty comfortable cruising for hours and hours and hours pretty much. Obviously, I, you know, wish I had a, you know, traction control, or not traction control, cruise control like a Harley has or something like that. But I mean, you learn to kind of lock your wrist. I'm a MX rider, so I've always learned to keep one finger on each lever there, so I can kind of lock my wrist and kind of put my finger there, and it kind of helps me just keep and maintain the same speed. It's almost like a throttle lock, but not really. It's just being my own hand. So where else should I say about these things? I mean, other than that, they're just amazingly fun. Like, you got a beautiful sound. They're not too heavy. This one's about 475 pounds. The seat height's not too high. For ideal sport bike riding, I absolutely love a 600. If you're not out to do hot boy stuff and, you know, highway squid stuff, and you're just kind of out to cruise around, I really don't mind one of these. Some people will tell you different. They are race replica bikes. They are a little bit more comfortable, but if you're a little tough and you got that dog in you, you know, you can ride one. I've been riding one for 2 years now, consistently, daily. So like I said, put almost 5,000 kilometers on in the last month and a half. So, and I plan to put on quite a few more in the short distance of summer that we have left. But anyways, I will probably sign out of this video. I hope that helps. The overview of these bikes is just, if you're a beginner, I don't recommend one. Get a smaller CC with some rider aids, and then when you get comfortable, if you want to, you know, ramp up your skill a bit and you want to, you know, get a little bit rowdy with it, get yourself a 600 or something like that doesn't have as many rider aids, and you can kind of just ride them how they're meant to be rode. If you are experienced and you have, you know, a smaller bike and you're starting to be like, hey, I want, you know, a little bit more, I do recommend one of these. They are amazingly fun. Even if you're a 1000cc rider and you want to get something that's just nice and light and nimble, you can turn the throttle, you can sit with your hand off like this and not like throw yourself off the back of the bike, because like with a 1000, if you did that, you would be boop, gone off the back. Like, they're too powerful for, especially around town and stuff like this. I live in a small town, so I'm not ripping. I'm driving at 40 kilometers an hour, so it's definitely not practical to have a 1000cc. But anyways, I hope this helped. I hope this gave some information, and hopefully this was entertaining enough, and see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.